Okay, so it looks like all of the members who are attending are here, so I think we can get started. Welcome to the August 23rd, 2024 Disciplinary Petition Committee meeting rather. My name is Jessie Crowley, chairperson of the committee meeting today. Before we convene, I would like to remind everyone present that the board is a consumer protection agency charged with administering and enforcing pharmacy law. Where protection of the public is inconsistent with other interests sought to be promoted, the protection of the public shall be paramount. As I facilitate this meeting, I will announce when we are accepting public comment. I've advised the meeting moderator to allot 3 minutes to each individual providing comments. We will begin with public comments for individuals attending in person, which I believe there are none, so if that changes, please let me know. And then we'll start with public comments by individuals participating via WebEx. This approach is necessary to facilitate this meeting. Before we get started, I would like to ask staff moderating the meeting to provide general instructions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before we get started, I would like to remind committee members and staff who are not speaking to mute their microphone during today's meeting. If background noise is detected as a result of unmuted microphones, I will mute those microphones. There are members of the public present and meeting minutes are being taken, so we ask members and staff to please identify yourselves before speaking. For the purpose of today's meeting, when the chair opens for public comment, members of the public who would like to provide public comment in person in Sacramento can approach the table and microphone at the front of the room. For those joining us on WebEx, we will be utilizing the WebEx question and answer and hand raise features to facilitate public comment. When public comment is called, I will open the question and answer feature, which you will hear me refer to as the Q&A, and members of the public who wish to make a comment can click on the Q&A icon, type the word comment in the text box, and click on the send button. To utilize the hand raise feature, simply click on the hand icon next to your name to raise and lower your hand. Those who have called into the meeting can dial *3 to raise and lower their hand. After we have taken public comment from our Sacramento locations, I will call on those individuals requesting comment through WebEx. And Madam Chair, I return the floor back to you.
Great, thank you so much. I would now like to take a roll call to establish a quorum. Trevor Chandler.
Present.
Thank you. KK Jha.
Present.
Thank you. Jane Newell is not attending. Satinder Sandhu.
Present.
Thank you. Maria Serpa.
Member present.
Thank you. And I am here. A quorum of the committee has been established. Before we move to the next agenda item, I would like to remind committee members participating via WebEx to please remain visible on camera throughout the open portion of today's meeting. Members, if you need to temporarily turn off your camera due to challenges with internet connectivity, please remember to announce the reason for your non-appearance when you turn off your camera. We will now accept public comment for items on the not on the agenda. You are not required to identify yourself, but you may do so. I would like to remind everyone that the committee cannot take action on these items except to decide whether to place them on a future agenda. Members, following review of public comments for this agenda item, I will ask members to comment on what, if any, items should be placed on a future agenda. As a reminder, this agenda item is not intended to be a discussion, but rather an opportunity for members of the committee and members of the public to request consideration of an item for future placement on an agenda, at which time discussion may occur. We will begin, since there's no members of the public present in Sacramento, we will begin with public comment from individuals participating via WebEx.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've opened up the Q&A feature. If any member of the public would like to comment on items not on the agenda, please either raise your hand or type comment using the field in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. We will give you a moment. All right, this is a moderator. I see no request for public comment at this time. Madam Chair, I return the floor back to you.
Great, thank you so much. Moving on to agenda item 3, petitions for reinstatement of licensure, early termination, or other modification of penalty. As included on the agenda, we will be considering petitions today. I would now like to turn the meeting over to Administrative Law Judge Patrice de Guzman Huber to preside over the hearings.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do see that Ms. Ignatieva is in the participant list. However, I don't see her or hear her yet.
Hello, I'm here.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
And let's see, do we have the Deputy Attorney General present as well?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor.
There she is. I see Ms. Jarvis. Good morning. All right. I know we're electronically recording, but just to keep the record of the hearing clear, I will be still saying whether we're on the record or off the record as it pertains to the hearing. So let me get started. We are on the record before the Board of Pharmacy, Department of Consumer Affairs, in the matter of the petition for early termination of probation of Natalia Ignatieva. The agency case number is 6947. The OAH case number is 2024-080-200. Today is August 23rd, 2024. The time is 9:08 a.m. This is the date and time set for the hearing in this matter, and we are appearing by video conference through WebEx. My name is Patrice Huber. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings, or OAH. OAH is an independent adjudicative agency. For your benefit, Ms. Ignatieva, my job here today, well, actually, let me back up. I am sitting here with the board, and we did establish a quorum earlier. And so I am sitting here in that capacity with the board. My job here is to assist in facilitating this hearing on your petition. I am not the decision maker. It is the board's decision. And so you'll be really making your case to them. At this time, I'll take the appearances of the parties, starting with Ms. Jarvis.
Good morning. I am Deputy Attorney General Christina Jarvis, and I am appearing here on behalf of the Attorney General for the people of the state of California. My role is not adversarial, but it is intended to protect the public interest.
Good morning, Ms. Jarvis. And Ms. Ignatieva, I know we had informal introduction just a moment ago, but would you please introduce yourself at this time?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. My name is Natalia Ignatieva.
Thank you. Good morning. All right. So in a hearing such as this, which is a petition, Ms. Ignatieva, typically and ordinarily, the party with the burden to prove whatever it is. So in this case, this is your petition. You have the burden to prove that you're entitled to whatever you're seeking. Ordinarily, that person will go first in the presentation of the evidence. However, in this case, I will ask Ms. Jarvis to go first and present her evidence first, just to give me and the board the background and context for your license, the history, and how we got here today where you're now petitioning for early termination of probation. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Jarvis for her presentation.
Thank you, Your Honor. This matter arose via an accusation filed on August 28, 2020. Petitioner entered into a stipulated settlement for 5 years of probation with the board, and additionally agreed to a suspension period until the Pharmacist Recovery Program, or PRP, determined that petitioner was safe to practice. At that time, petitioner held an intern pharmacist license. She has since achieved her pharmacist license, and she stipulated upon receipt to receive it with the same terms and conditions that the intern pharmacist license was on, the same probation terms and conditions. Now, more than 2 years have passed since her probation became effective, and therefore petitioner is eligible for this petition for early termination of probation. I'm going to give you guys the facts of this case a little bit differently. Usually I go through the causes for discipline, but in this case, the story that these facts tell are then really easily applied to the laws violated by petitioner. So the story as we know it through the disciplinary, underlying disciplinary action is that petitioner was shadowing another pharmacist, who I'll refer to just as OH, when that pharmacist accessed a Pyxis machine to obtain lorazepam for a patient who was having a seizure and for whom a rapid response code had been activated. OH rushed out of the room to attend to the patient, and petitioner began to follow, but then video shows petitioner stopping at the door to the room, going back inside to where the Pyxis was, and then peeking out the door twice more before finally leaving the room and following OH. 2 tramadol pills were found to be missing from that Pyxis machine, and petitioner was the only one who had access to it at that time. Petitioner was interviewed by board staff and initially denied, but then did admit to stealing these 2 tramadol pills from that Pyxis machine. Additionally, petitioner admitted that she had accessed and removed 2 narcotic drips from a Pyxis machine, and that she had consumed both the narcotic drips and the tramadol pills, both of these stolen controlled substances. So the causes for discipline that were levied against petitioner were: first, unprofessional conduct. The second cause for discipline was moral turpitude, dishonesty, fraud, deceit, and corruption. The third cause for discipline was self-administration of controlled substances. The fourth cause for discipline was possession of controlled substances without a prescription. And the fifth cause for discipline was furnishing a controlled substance to herself without a valid prescription. Now, petitioner has been completely compliant with probation, and she is currently in transition out of PRP. And I say currently as of the date that the petition was filed. Petitioner will have an opportunity to talk about her current status with PRP as of today in a moment. Petitioner has also paid her costs, which were ordered in the amount of $5,000 in full. Now, with the petition, so in the packet that was provided to the board, petitioner provided 42.65 hours of continuing education courses taken since August 12th of 2022, a compliance letter from PRP, 2 employment performance evaluations, proof of her CPR certification, confirmation of the completion of cost recovery, and then proof of other rehabilitation efforts, including drug testing and a sobriety plan. In addition, petitioner provided 9 letters of recommendation along with a personal statement. All 9 letters of recommendation were able to be verified by board staff. Now, these letter writers are, of course, quite glowing. Otherwise, petitioner probably wouldn't have asked them to write these letters for her. But they all say things such as that petitioner is focused, motivated, empathetic, that she handles controlled substances properly, and demonstrates strong clinical skills and work ethic. Her supervisor recommends that the probation be removed. Several letter writers also outline petitioner's personal progress over the past several years, and all enthusiastically support the granting of her petition. So at this time, Your Honor, I would like to identify and move as Exhibit 1, the petition packet consisting of all the documents I just identified, and also including the notice of hearing, an agreement for electronic recording, a memorandum to the board from staff outlining the probation period and the underlying disciplinary action, and then the actual certified underlying decision and order with the stipulation for continuing jurisdiction from the intern license to the current pharmacist license.
Thank you. Ms. Ignatieva, any objection to your packet, your petition and supporting documentation being admitted as part of the evidence in this case?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Exhibit 1 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Then at this time, I will cede the floor to petitioner.
Thank you. So Ms. Ignatieva, Ms. Jarvis has completed her presentation. It's your turn. This is your opportunity to speak directly to me and to the board committee about your case. We are in receipt of your petition and its supporting documents. So there's no need to repeat everything that's in the petition or in the supporting documents, but this is an opportunity to highlight anything you think that we really should pay close attention to, anything that you think could use more clarification, and anything you just like to maybe repeat to us. But again, no need to repeat everything. So at this time, I'll turn it over to you whenever you're ready. Oh, actually, let me swear you in so I can consider your testimony as evidence. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Thank you. You may put your hand down. Please state and spell your full name.
Okay, Natalia Ignatieva, Natalia
Thank you. And you may begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. I did write an opening statement. So good morning, Your Honor, District Attorney General, members of the committee and the Board of Pharmacy. I acknowledge that I do not have entitlement or right to obtain early termination of probation. I acknowledge the board's mandate of public protection, where in the event any interest is in conflict with public protection, the public protection shall prevail. The principal cause for my discipline was unprofessional conduct, consumption of controlled substances that were not prescribed to me, as well as theft and diversion of controlled substances. These are all extremely serious failures, and I acknowledge that. I understand the magnitude and severity of my past deficiencies and am keenly aware of my duties as a pharmacist in the prevention of abuse and diversion of controlled substances. My past actions as a student pharmacist led to this probationary period, and I accept full responsibility for my mistakes. I'm here to respectfully ask for a reprieve in light of my continuing mitigation and rehabilitation efforts, which help ensure that similar departure from the professional standards will not occur again. I self-referred to the Maximus Pharmacy Recovery Program in October of 2019, and I anticipate successful completion of the program after 5 years of compliance in October of this year. My probation term was set at 5 years, and I have served over 3.5 years of that term. I am aware that mere compliance with probation terms may not be sufficient to grant this petition. From the very time my deficiencies were brought to light on October 7th of 2019, I have made ongoing effort to treat my substance use disorder into remission, obtain pharmacy education, implement safety measures into my pharmacy practice, as well as contribute positively to the pharmacy community. Since being allowed to return to school as an intern pharmacist in 2021, I rotated through several practice settings like managed care, ambulatory care, hospital practice, pharmaceutical industry, and community pharmacy. Upon finishing my first APPE rotation as a rematriculated student, I was hired to work part-time at Community Health Group. I worked 12 to 15 hours weekly as an intern pharmacist, in addition to full-time rotations for the remainder of my time in pharmacy school. Upon finishing my pharmacy school curriculum in February of 2022, I was hired as a graduate intern pharmacist at the same worksite. Once I passed the boards a few months later, I was granted the privilege of earning my pharmacist license. At this point, I was hired full-time as a managed care pharmacist at Community Health Group. 2 months later, in July of 2022, I received notification that the board required me to gain experience in a controlled substance access position. I started working at Pure Care Pharmacy the following month and maintained a 6-day work week at both jobs until the requirement was considered met by the board, which was in April of the following year. I voluntarily returned to work part-time at Pure Care Pharmacy in January of this current year, as I find purpose in direct patient care and enjoy reinforcing my understanding of pharmacy laws and regulations. Approximately 5 years have elapsed from the time my deficiencies had occurred, and I have practiced safely and responsibly ever since in multiple practice settings. The majority of my pharmacy experience has been serving low-income, disabled, and elderly patients, as this is our member population at Community Health Group. I also get to speak with patients at CHG, as well as at Pure Care Pharmacy, who admit to struggling with substance use disorder. I value this opportunity to extend genuine empathy, understanding, and acceptance to these often stigmatized patients with whom I identify. For example, I assisted patients in switching from oral naltrexone, which was backordered for many months, to the more accessible alternative at the time, Vivitrol, by making recommendations to patients as well as their psychiatrist. I have contacted countless prescribers to notify them when our CHG members show up on the weekly overdose report to request they prescribe Narcan, discuss a treatment plan involving MAT, or safe tapering to limit their controlled substances. With these efforts, I have seen patients successfully taper off the dangerous trilogy of opioids, benzodiazepines, and soma. I have investigated several providers for our compliance department who are identified for at-risk behavior as a result of their combinations of controlled substances and concern for fraud, waste, and abuse. One of these investigations led to a reduction in the number of CHG members who were prescribed multiple benzos by a single provider from a total of 12 members in 2023 to 0 in 2024. I've referred hundreds of patients who experienced drug overdose to our behavioral health and case management departments for assistance with mental health appointments. Following these referrals, I've received outcome reports that some of these patients accepted services and are obtaining care. Although our success rate with referrals is under 20%, every single patient who accepts behavioral health services is a victory. Additionally, I conducted drug utilization review at CHG that revealed prescribing practices for chlordiazepoxide and Spravato that diverged from clinical guidelines. This investigation led to an updated quantity limit on our formulary with safety edits as well as updated PA criteria. I've also designed several opioid-related newsletters that were distributed to our providers and members. These newsletters communicated information on buprenorphine prescribing, pre- and post-X waiver requirement, covered medication-assisted therapy and naloxone products on our formulary, statistics on CHG opioid overdoses and subsequent Narcan prescribing practices. I share these efforts with you to demonstrate my earnest dedication to my own recovery as well as to the recovery of fellow addicts in the community. I believe I'm distinctively qualified to assist patients struggling with substance use disorder, given my identities of both a healthcare professional and a recovering addict myself. The principal reason for granting this petition, in my humble opinion, is that notwithstanding the deficiencies that occurred in the past, my dedicated practice and continuous effort since the discovery of my misconducts may justify the termination of probation at this point in time. This is not some short-term effort that I put together prior to filing the petition. This has been an ongoing, focused effort aimed at treating my addiction to controlled substances into sustained remission and regaining trust in the pharmacy community. I believe that being continuously subject to practice restrictions at this point in time no longer serves any rehabilitation purpose or adds any margin of public safety. I believe that the evidence and testimony presented along with this petition will support that termination of my probation will not pose any risk to the public. I believe I've been fully rehabilitated and can serve as a pharmacist without the board's supervision. I'll continue to reinforce my recovery by attending weekly NA meetings, working the 12 steps with my sponsor as well as my sponsees, and spreading the message of recovery through my commitments. I'll also continue my spiritual practices that enable me to cope with life's challenges. I'm grateful that I was put on probation and participated in Maximus because it introduced me to a new way of life. In the beginning of my journey with the PRP, my case manager told me, you have to become a better person before you can become a better pharmacist. I believe that I have become a better person and I'm ready to serve as a pharmacist without practice restrictions. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have anything else you'd like to say outside of the statement you've just read?
No, thanks, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'll turn it over to Ms. Jarvis for any questions she may have for you. Go ahead, Ms. Jarvis.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Ignatieva, did you receive a doctorate through your program?
I did.
So, Dr. Ignatieva, I read through your personal statement that was included with your petition, and you do appear to be very remorseful. But it also appears that you are consuming and or stealing more drugs than just the 2 tramadols and 2 narcotic drips that you were caught for stealing. So can you tell us, what was your drug of choice at that time?
Opiates.
And did you mostly steal those drugs from the pharmacies where you were working, or did you have any prescriptions?
I did have prescriptions at one point, and that's what kind of started my, I guess, my addiction. But then I diverted the drugs as well.
So how often were you using opiates during this time period?
I would say I was not using them daily, but a few times a week.
To your knowledge, were you ever, high or altered, intoxicated in any way while you were working as an intern pharmacist?
Yes, I was.
And do you, as you sit here today, do you understand why the board would be so concerned with the safety of your patients if you're working while intoxicated?
Yes, absolutely. I understand that it was extremely inappropriate and dangerous for my patients, and that I wanted to stop using many times, and I didn't know where to start changing my life. And I was terrified that one day I would become a pharmacist and not know how to live life clean without drugs.
Was your drug addiction sort of in existence, however you want to phrase it, prior to you entering pharmacy school?
No, it was not. It started during pharmacy school when I started becoming like obsessed with perfectionism, ego, this desire to control and be the best. And I made like pharmacy my entire identity, and I stopped engaging in healthy activities, and I became overstressed, overscheduled, and exhausted, and I felt miserable, and I didn't want other people to know how exhausted and miserable I was, and I found that with a prescription I got, the substances helped me feel like artificially happy and cover up all of the despair that I felt, and I didn't. I stopped, making connections with people and using healthy coping skills and trying to work on my mental health, and I instead just took this easy way out, which was using the substances. But in the end, they just made me hate my life even more.
So I think you've already somewhat answered this question, but I want to ask for kind of a little bit more specifics. So have you determined what your triggers were that caused you to use? So you've already talked about like your sort of mentality at that time, but was there anything specific, like, you know, if you had a phone call from your dad or something like that, that would send you into a spiral? Do you have anything like that? Did you determine any triggers?
It was mostly just my mentality at the time, which was like, basically, no, there's no time to take a break, push through, you can handle it. And I didn't really allow myself to rest very much. And I was very competitive, and there was no like particular trigger. It was just that every morning I would wake up at like 5 a.m. to study and work up the patients, and just I went to school, and then I came back home, and I just continued studying like all the night, like through the night. And I just felt like I was terrified because I was working at UCSD, and I was also on rotations, and I was applying for residency, and I didn't know how to put all of these different elements in my life on hold in order to work on my mental health and then return to school. And so I just kept going. It was like this negative feedback loop or positive feedback loop where I just kept getting worse and worse. And there was no specific trigger. It was just like a life where I just felt really miserable and hated my life. And I used controlled substances to help me cope with that.
You mentioned during your opening statement that you worked the 12 steps through NA. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
So what step are you on now?
Well, I finished my 12 steps before, but currently I'm on step 11 again.
Okay. And why are you going through them again?
Well, part of the recovery program is to work our steps throughout our lives. And the first time that I worked the 12 steps, I focused on my actual disease of addiction that related to my use of drugs. But since I had put down the use of drugs, and I have been abstinent now for over 4.5 years, the second round that I'm working the steps is actually just on the behaviors that present along with the disease of addiction, like lying and manipulating and stealing. So these behaviors that I did in pharmacy that have also hurt other people, hurt myself, have damaged my self-esteem. And so I'm working now on the 12 steps surrounding my behaviors that still may be present despite the fact that I put down the drugs.
And was there any step that you can identify, either the first time you worked it or now, that was most important to you?
Absolutely. My favorite step, I think the one that's been the most important to me, was step 3, which is we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him, because this is like in stark contrast to how I lived my life when I was in active addiction, where I felt like I always had to control everything, manipulate everything. And in step 3, it's all about asking for my higher power's will and letting go of the need to control, and the ability to deal with ambiguity and to cope with the unknown in life. And just basically, I now am able to do the footwork. So I'm able to take every next indicated step towards my goals, and in hopes that I will reach my goal, but then I get to let go of the outcome. So if I don't get exactly what I want, I don't feel like I need to manipulate and control the situation. I get to have more peace. I don't live in like fear of ambiguity. I get to just, replace this fear with faith. And so it has changed my life a lot, because when I was in rehab, I was very afraid. I was afraid that I would never be allowed to return to pharmacy. I was afraid I wouldn't get my license. There were just a lot of unknowns. I was out of school for about 1.5 years before the board allowed me to return, and so I was doing all of this stuff through the Maximus Pharmacy Recovery Program. And I didn't know if I was ever going to make it back. And there's just been a lot of obstacles along the way, of course, and a lot of requirements that have caused fear of the unknown. But I've been able to quickly use step 3 and implement it, and just replace this fear with faith, knowing that I can do every single next indicated step, and then kind of let it go and see what my higher powers will for me is.
So this might be the same answer, and if it is, you can just say that. But what step was the most difficult for you to get through?
Most difficult. I think I guess step 4 is the most difficult because it's all about creating an inventory of people that I've harmed, as well as people who have harmed me, and entities that I've harmed and who have harmed me. And it took a long time to write all this down and really process it and kind of rehash it and deal with the emotions of everything that's happened. So I would say step 4 is definitely the hardest one for me. Just having to relive all of the wreckage of my past.
Now, in your petition, you also state that you have been convicted or pled no contest to a violation of law. Were you criminally prosecuted for these thefts?
No, I may have had used the wrong language in that context, if that is what it sounds like. I have never been criminally prosecuted.
For any crime?
No, for any crime.
Okay. So maybe you were referring to your stipulation for the board?
Yes, I believe so.
And then you stated, and it's in your petition, that you self-referred to PRP, but your impetus for doing so, that was after you were fired from your intern rotation due to these thefts, correct?
Correct.
I have no other questions at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. Dr. Ignatieva, let me just check with the board whether to see if they have any questions, and I'll just go down the line. And Madam Chair, Dr. Crowley, any questions?
Thank you, Your Honor. I think I do have a couple questions. Some of them have been answered. Let me just pull them up. And thank you for being with us today, Dr. Ignatieva. Can you remind us again what your sobriety date is?
Yes, October 22nd, 2019.
Thank you. So I know in the petition packet there was a document. I think it was a few years old, but it did have some triggers listed there. So some of them that were listed were seeing pills of any kind, things like that, but also stress. So I know that you have been working as a pharmacist. And then there were, following that question, I think there was answers about how you handle stress. My question for you is that in the pharmacy setting, now that you're actually working as a pharmacist, if you do have any acute stress, what is your way to manage that in the moment?
Okay, thank you for your question. So I do admit to being afraid that pills were going to be a trigger for me before I ever came to pharmacy, before I returned to pharmacy. So when I was not allowed to practice, I had feared that seeing pills again would be triggering to me. And when I first started working in retail and community pharmacy, I had felt uncomfortable around them because it was like this fear that I had that it was like, I almost feel like it was kind of like a health fear because I understand how serious it is now to handle controlled substances and how it can bring a lot of damage, and it's like a safety concern. And so I had a lot of fear going into it. But then when I started using them, sorry, let me just back up.
Okay.
But then when I started actually dealing with controlled substances in the pharmacy setting as a pharmacist, I realized that as long as I know the laws that are in place and the clinical material, and I establish these safeguards like being able to take a break, being able to ask for help, I'm not feeling like stressed out about handling them anymore, because I've been very diligent about keeping up to date with laws and making sure that that they don't get mishandled by myself or by anybody else that I may be working with. And so I feel like I'm like hyper vigilant about the handling of controlled substances. And at this point, I don't feel like there's any type of trigger around myself taking them, because at this point, after over 4.5 years, it feels like the person who used to steal the controlled substances and take them, it honestly feels like I've lived like 2 totally separate lives, where I can't even imagine myself doing that anymore. And now that I'm on the other side of that miserable life where I was doing that, like I never want to go back there. And so the way that I handle stress is really just establishing safeguards and making sure that I'm like implementing a daily practice so that I don't get to that point where I feel like extremely overstressed. For example, like praying every day, journaling, meditating. I exercise every day. I eat healthy. I talk to my sponsor. I talk to my sponsee at least a couple times a week. I go to meetings and I work the 12 steps. And otherwise, I just try to make sure that my mental health is taken care of, so that if there are little stressors that come up here and there, like I'm able to handle them, because I have enough like peace of mind where they're not going to bring me over to the top of feeling like over stressed. And of course, in the community setting and in the managed care setting, there's stressors that come up, deadlines, people are unhappy. But as long as I'm confident in my ability to cope with stressors as they arise, I don't ever see these kinds of things triggering me to the point where I need to look for some kind of external intervention to change my internal experience anymore.
Great. Thank you so much. I don't have any further questions. I just want to wish you the best of luck and congratulate you on your sobriety and all of the changes that you've made with your life.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank
How
you.
about Mr. Chandler? Any questions?
Yes, I have two. The first one is for some folks who acknowledge they have a issue with narcotics or an addiction issue, especially in the pharmaceutical setting, it would be some would view it as natural to say, okay, if I have an addiction, it's best not to be in this scenario at all, or choose a different path than pharmacy. Can you tell us why, even after going through this, you feel that why you were so passionate about going back to pharmacy despite the recovery and the addiction that you're in?
Yes, thank you for your question. I feel like pharmacy has been my passion. Basically, I knew that I wanted to become a pharmacist since I was at the age of 16. And I knew that pharmacists, there are many different types of pharmacists. You know, not all pharmacists access and are working around controlled substances. And so when I had this goal of returning to pharmacy practice after being, put on probation, and I had anticipated that I would return to a pharmacy setting that would not involve controlled substances in order to help me basically create enough safeguards where that wasn't even going to be an option. But then, the board had me work around controlled substances in my narcotics access hours and at Pure Care Pharmacy. And I realized that really, like, I love counseling patients, and I love working with patients and helping them understand their health and helping them understand their medications. And that's why I continued and I returned to work at Pure Care even after the board considered my requirement met, because I love the managed care setting where I get to work and there's no controlled substances there. But at this point in time, I have felt confident enough where I can return, and I know the laws, and I know myself, and I know my mental health is just at a totally different place where it ever was, and so I'm confident that there's nothing that would make me want to use the controlled substances, or especially never steal anything from a pharmacy ever again. And so I do enjoy staying up to date with laws and regulations and being able to implement this stuff that I learn in the actual pharmacy setting, because I don't get to do that as much in managed care, and I enjoy this direct patient care that I get to have in community. So that's why I have chosen to return to work in community and in managed care, even despite my addiction, because I feel like I'm a whole different person, and I can't even imagine using controlled substances at this point. So.
Thank you. My second question is, you referenced in your materials that at least at that time you were living with your family who are also sober. Is that still the case? Are you living in a stable environment that you don't feel will exacerbate any work stresses?
Yes, absolutely. I live now with my husband, and he is also sober. He has been sober for about 6.5 years, and I mean, I'm pregnant, 38 weeks pregnant. So we have, just a whole different life here, and there's no controlled substances, or there's no, like, alcohol or drugs around me, really.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. And as someone who is also, I'm also in long-term recovery, just very proud of all the work that you've put in, and just keep going.
Thank you.
Thank you. And let's turn it over to Mr. Jha. Any questions?
Good morning. Yes, please. Ms. Natalia, congratulations on your recovery and sobriety. As a pharmacist, in the future, one of the main responsibility that you will carry is looking at the controlled substance prescriptions and determining a corresponding responsibility of a pharmacist. And at that point, you will have to use your experience and judgment in determining the legitimate medical purpose of a prescription or the order that you will see. So how does your experience of last 4.5, 5 years prepare you for that? And what are the learnings you're going to take with you when you apply that judgment for that patient and prescriber?
Well, so when I'm evaluating controlled substance prescriptions in the community setting, I feel like I am hyper vigilant about ensuring that they're written for a legitimate medical purpose. And so, of course, practicing corresponding responsibility by I do not fill any prescriptions when there's any kind of concerns about the prescription's validity. And I will check in with the provider. I'll check in with the patient. I'll look at all of the factors, like, for example, how far the patient is traveling to get their prescriptions, and how far they travel to their doctor's office, any patterns that I see on cures. And so just being an addict and having had diverted drugs, I understand the mentality of addicts. And so I feel like I am hyper vigilant about avoiding putting my license at risk, and also making sure that I know that I have the responsibility to deny the prescription if it does not seem legitimate. And so I basically, that's how I would use my past experience to practice corresponding responsibility in the community setting.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Dr. Sandhu, any questions?
No, Your Honor, questions that I had been previously asked, so I don't want to waste more time. But I do want to congratulate you for doing the hard work, and congratulations,
Thank you.
for recognizing and the problems that you had and overcoming them.
Thank you.
And Dr. Serpa, any questions?
Hi, thank you. No further questions except to congratulate you on your accomplishments. It really is truly admirable. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Jarvis, any recross at this time?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. And Dr. Ignatieff, I'll let you have the last word. This is your presentation of your evidence. So any of the questions, did they jog anything in your memory? Anything you'd like to further explain? This is the time for that.
I do just have one thing I would like to mention. Thank you, Your Honor. I want to mention actually another reason why I would like to end my probation early is really because the pharmacy director at my work site at Community Health Group is leaving soon, and the manager will be taking over, and the manager's position will be open. And I've been kind of prepared by the director and the manager to take on this manager position. And so I am hoping that if my probation is lifted early, then I would be able to go ahead and take on this manager position. And also, we have a lot of intern pharmacists who rotate through both of my practice sites in community and also in the managed care setting. And I haven't really been able to be a preceptor to them. And that's part of why, one of the main reasons I really enjoy pharmacy is like talking to the patients and counseling them, and also just the teaching aspect of it, like teaching people about their medications and their health. And so I would really value the opportunity to be able to be a preceptor to our interns in the future if I'm able to be granted the early termination of probation. So that's just what I would like to add.
Thank you.
But I do have a closing statement. Is this the time for that?
It is in just a moment.
Okay, sure.
Thank you for asking. Yes, so we do have a portion called closing argument or any last remarks. Let me just start with Ms. Jarvis, and then you will have the last word, Dr. Ignatieva. Ms. Jarvis, any last remarks or closing argument?
Yes, thank you. At this time, I have no recommendation specifically for the board in this case. Dr. Ignatieva appears to be doing good rehabilitation work and has apparently satisfied PRP that she is safe to practice. However, she has only been on probation for 3.5 of the 5 years that she initially agreed to in the stipulation. But I will defer to the wisdom and judgment of the board as to whether to grant or deny this petition. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. And Dr. Ignatieva, this is your opportunity for any last remarks. Let us know what you'd like to see. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate the board for giving me a chance to demonstrate my growth and prove that I can be a responsible pharmacist. I have learned what it takes to be a professional working in multiple practice settings while also serving the community as an addict in recovery who supports the recovery of others. I have learned my lesson and want to do right by the board and the state of California as a pharmacist for the remainder of my career. I respectfully ask the Board of Pharmacy to grant this petition for early termination of probation. I appreciate the thorough consideration and attention that you have all graciously given to my case. Thank you.
Thank you. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you, Dr. Ignatieva and Ms. Jarvis, whether the matter has been submitted. That is a term of art. So let me first explain what it means, and then I will ask you the question. So when I ask whether the matter has been submitted, what I'm asking you is, do you feel that you've had a full opportunity to present your case here today and to make any arguments on your own behalf? Does that explanation make sense to you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so let me ask the question officially. Dr. Ignatieva, is the matter submitted?
Yes, the matter is submitted. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And Ms. Jarvis?
Yes, submitted.
Thank you. With the matter being submitted, the record is closed. And what that means is we will not be taking any further evidence at this time. And you will not receive a decision today, but you will receive a decision at some point in the future after the board issues its written decision. So just keep an eye out for that. If you have any questions on timeframes, Ms. Jarvis may be able to help you with that information. Thank you so much, Dr. Ignatieva. With that, we are off the record as to this matter. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. If you don't mind, I think we'll take a 15-minute break while we get the second petitioner ready, just to be on the safe side. So 15-minute break. We will return at 10:04. Is that right? Thanks.
Chair Crowley, I just want to let you know I have an obligation that will hopefully not take too long at 10 o'clock. Will that affect our quorum?
I don't believe so. Right, and we should still be okay. I think we still have a quorum
present.
Yeah, that should be okay. Okay, thank you.
And this is a moderator. Welcome, petitioner Sheldon Borson. During this break, if we could just do a quick mic and camera check. So Sheldon Dale Borson Jr., if we could do a quick mic and camera check.
Can you hear me at this time?
I can. Are you able to turn on your camera?
Okay, you cannot see me at this point.
There might be a delay. The camera is turned on by clicking on the start video at the bottom middle of your screen.
Okay, let me click on that.
Yep. So you click on start video and that turns your camera on.
Okay, did we get any results on that?
Looks like no. Do you have it like it looks like you don't have a camera. Do you maybe have a cover on your camera?
I was speaking to Ray, who was helping me get on the website, and he said that he saw me on screen.
Okay.
Let me see.
Because where your image should be, there's a camera with a slash through it.
I see that.
Okay.
This is not my computer.
Okay.
I'm in an office using one at my employer's.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure all of this out. It's been very nerve-wracking.
All right.
So how can I get this video going?
You could click on, so where it says start video at the bottom middle of your screen, if you click on the drop down caret, you can click on video settings
Yes, I
and
see that.
then see if there's anything that you can change there.
Show in float window, show with others.
Also, you can click on the camera. Let's see, start video. Yeah.
Let me see if I can call the owner here and see if she'll answer to see if she has it. There should be a camera on the screen, correct?
I mean, not all laptops or computers have a camera, but if there is one, then you should be able to turn it on. Sometimes they have a little shutter over them, and you have to open that.
Okay. Let me see if I can call Gina and see if she knows anything about
Okay.
this. Hi, good morning. I'm online with the State Board of Pharmacy in your office because I had to use your computer for this meeting. Do you have a camera on this computer anywhere? Are they covered up at all? Okay, because I'm in settings and I'm trying to access the camera. I don't know what that is. Oh yeah, but I'm on the left side. And then, so that's the main computer on the right. Yeah, I'm already in this meeting on the left computer. And, okay, integrated camera. Well, there's a spot where it says video, stop video, and I started the video settings. Hi. I'm on the state board meeting in Gina's office, and I can't get the camera to work. They need to have a camera working. So are you on a Zoom? Yes, it's a WebEx. Yeah, I've got the microphone working with them, and it said there was a place to start the video and stop the video, and I hit start, and it's still bringing up nothing. I know. No, she says there's cameras on both of them. It was very difficult to get this WebEx up on this, and I'm in a meet. I've got the state board and the attorney general. Everybody's going to be joining this Zoom here in a second. I don't know if I can get it started on the other screen. How do you do that? Uh-huh. The mouse went to the other side, but the screen didn't go. No.
The video now?
Yeah. Sorry, we're back on that side.
Oh, what the heck?
I know. I don't know. It jumps over.
Come on.
This is the moderator. Sheldon, if you want to try using like a different device to log in, you can stay logged in how you are now and just try that one. And then if that one works, then you can just log out from.
Can you bring this thing up to Google so I can access the internet? Not really.
So there's how do we get to the other side, Gina?
And this is the moderator. Sheldon, I'm going to mute you for now. This is the moderator. We have Sheldon Borson in the meeting. His mic works, but his camera does not.
Okay, let's see. I will do a roll call to see if everyone is back. Just please make sure that you turn your cameras on as well. So Trevor, I believe, has left. KK, are you back?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Thank you. Satinder?
I'm here.
Thank you. Maria?
Here.
Thank you. And I'm here. Quorum has been established. Just wanted to confirm with council. So I believe the petitioner is having difficulty with his camera. Are we still able to proceed with the hearing?
Join me.
Ryan, I don't know if you're here.
I don't know if
Yeah, I am here.
Oh, great.
So I'm not sure if Christina is back, but I know in the past we have to be able to see the petitioner.
Yeah,
There she is.
Dr.
Christina?
Crowley, can you hear me now? This is Corinne.
Oh, yes, we can hear you now.
Sorry about that.
What's your
Yeah, so
that email that log in on your phone? You should be able to get it with your camera.
okay. There's no legal requirement of having the petitioner on camera, but if as a policy matter, the committee is not comfortable proceeding without, seeing him, you do have the option of continuing the hearing to a later time.
Okay. So I guess I'll bring it to the board then. Do we want to proceed? Maria, I see your hand up.
Historically, we've always have the petitioner either in person with us or be able to see them. It's important to judge the testimony by their appearance. And so that's how I feel. I would feel uncomfortable moving forward.
Okay. Any other thoughts from other board members?
I concur with Maria. I agree. I think that
do we actually need to vote on it, or is it okay to just defer it? Do you know, Corinne?
I would say when in doubt, take a vote.
Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I make the motion to see if we need the camera or what if we want to have the camera on.
Sorry, this is Corinne again. I think the motion would be to continue the hearing to a later date because the board is uncomfortable not being able to, see the petitioner on camera.
A motion would be to continue the hearing due to lack of availability of the camera or the petitioner.
Thank you, Satinder. Any seconds?
I'll second it. It's Maria.
Thank you, Maria. Since we have a motion, do we have to open it up for public comment? Okay. So we will open it for public comment. If there are no public members in Sacramento still, we'll open it for public comment via WebEx.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've opened up the Q&A panel. If any member of the public would like to comment, please either raise your hand or type comment using the field in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. We are displaying instructions and we'll give you a moment. All right, this is a moderator. I see no request for comment at this time. Madam Chair, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. So we'll continue forward with the vote. KK, how do you vote?
Yes, and that is to have the camera on, right?
Yeah, so it will continue with the hearing at a later date.
Okay, yes, definitely yes.
Thank you. Satinder?
Yes.
Thank you. Maria?
Yes.
Thank you. And I vote yes, the motion passes. So I would imagine staff will be in touch with the petitioner. I'm not sure if maybe there's an opportunity for meeting in public in Sacramento if there's technological issue, or if that's even a possibility now that we have a separate committee for it. But I'm sure staff will help us with the logistics and with the petitioner with the logistics as well. Just a moment. And I'm sorry to the petitioner. I hope that we can resolve this and get your petition done as quickly as possible as well.
Madam Chair, I'm so sorry to interject, if I may, for just a moment.
Sure.
It may be clearer just for the record if I call the case and we take appearances, just for clarity, that Mr. or Dr. Borson did appear by audio only, and to have that memorialized. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just a quick mic check, Dr. Borson, are you able to unmute?
Okay, good. Hello, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Okay, just a moment. I'll let you know when to introduce yourself. All right, we are on the record before the Board of Pharmacy, Department of Consumer Affairs, in the matter of the petition for early termination of probation of Sheldon Dale Borson Jr. The agency case number is 3349. The OAH case number is 2024-080-252. Today is August 23rd, 2024. The time is 10:10 a.m. This is the date and time set for the hearing in this matter, and we are appearing by video conference through WebEx. My name is Patrice Huber. I'm the administrative law judge assigned to this matter to help facilitate this hearing with the board. A quorum was established a moment ago. At this time, I'll take the appearances of the parties, starting with Ms. Jarvis.
Good morning. I am Deputy Attorney General Christina Jarvis, and I am appearing here on behalf of the Attorney General for the people of the state of California. My role is not adversarial, but it is intended to protect the public interest.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. And Dr. Borson, would you please introduce yourself for the record?
Hi, this is Sheldon Dale Borson Jr. I'm a pharmacist here appearing before the board or trying to terminate my probation.
Thank you, Dr. Borson. And for the record, Dr. Borson is appearing by audio only. He doesn't have a video feed. And just a minute ago, the board took a vote to continue this matter until such time where Dr. Borson is able to have his video feed available to us. So at this time, the matter will be continued to a date to be determined. Is there anything else we need to discuss while we're on the record for this matter, Ms. Jarvis?
Not for me, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything you'd like to add, Dr. Borson, before we end this hearing today?
No, I have no other comments to enter. I apologize for the inconvenience.
Thank you, everyone. With that, we are off the record as to this matter. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. Moving on to agenda item 4, closed session. I would like to thank members of the public for your participation today, as well as the participants, the petitioners. As indicated on the agenda, the committee will now convene in closed session. Adjournment for the day will immediately follow closed session, and there will be no other items of business to be discussed. Adjournment may or may not be broadcast, so members of the public, thank you for joining the meeting today. Members of the board, please stay on